Well, hello, my loves, and happy Sunday to you. So, today we're going on a gigantic adventure. I have no idea where it's going to go, but I know it's going to be good. Why? Because we're here, and we're playing, and we're letting go. So, I have all kinds of things happening right here on my table that I can't wait to share with you. So, a couple things before we dive in. The ColourPop workshop that came out, that's on early bird pricing. I have the photo up here for you. You have one more day to sign up for the early bird pricing. So I just wanted to let you know that it's only $42 for 4 full projects. It's really fun, really colorful, lots of techniques and different things like that, and a real fun way to explore color and play. So if you're interested in ColourPop, I have the link down below in the YouTube description box. Also, all the supplies that I use, there will be a link for that, and the stencils that I use today will be on sale. I also want to say, before we dive in, how grateful I am for this community. You guys have been encouraging me always, really, but especially in the last few months with all of the things happening with health issues and stuff like that with my hubby. I am just, when I think about it, and most of the time when I'm answering or reading your comments below, I'm in tears because I'm just so incredibly grateful. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for entertaining all of my crazy ideas. And thank you for always encouraging me through this creative journey. And I hope that I can do that for you too. Okay, now, a member actually suggested this idea, and I immediately was on board. So she posted a picture in our community and said, I just picked up these Dutch Boy color samples, and what could we do with them? Maybe we could do a project or a Sunday inspiration. And I was like, yes, please. And so I got on it. I have a place right by my house that sells Dutch Boy. So I went for it and I got the samples and I have played. So I even got some Dutch Boy paint because I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it and see if it's better than the Bear paint that I use. So anyway, I'm going to share all of that with you. So let's take a look. So first of all, I want to come to this first, and I went in to get the color samples, and I thought, you know what, they have a Platinum Plus and in a matte, which all of my paints that I use in my bottles are house paints, and they're flat, and that's why I like them, because they work really well with charcoal pencil and soft pastels, and it's really opaque, because I get the primer in it, so it's real opaque paint. And it's cost effective because I can get a half gallon, I don't know what this one is, for a relatively inexpensive price in comparison to like a tube of paint. And the Bear is fairly reasonable. This is more expensive, and I thought if it's more expensive and a better paint, I would be interested. And I got something that was kind of similar to my magenta. I didn't do a color swatch or anything. I just went from the color sample. And I'll still use this. It's still good, but it's not as good as my Bear paint, I have to say. And here's why. So I did several swatches. This is the Dutch Boy right here, and this is my Bear paint. And I think you can see the shine on it. Even though it says it's matte, it's still got a lot of shine. Now, mine has some shine too, but not nearly as much as this. And you can just even feel the difference. You can just feel the difference. The paint goes on the same. It coats the same. That's all the same. But the shininess, that's why I like my house paints, because I can get it in that flat finish. And it's perfect for the underlayers and soft pastels and all of those kinds of things. I did do this one. I put a little bit of gesso in it, so it's a little bit more matte. I put white gesso. to see how it blends. It blended just fine. I just did one coat of this, and so it's a little transparent, but not terrible. So that was my experiment with the Dutch Boy paint. So, and they did not have, what I was really sad about is they didn't have this tester pot size, which I can get in my Bear paints. Now I have since stopped using, unless I'm doing a new color, I stopped using the tester pots, and I get like the half gallon or the pint of paint because it's more cost effective. And then I can just refill as I get empty. So anyway, that's the paint experiment. Now, let's go, let me put this over here. And so the student, and I apologize, I forgot her name, but she had a photo of all these laid out. And I have never seen circle samples. And I immediately thought, gosh, that would be a great background. And so, of course, I picked up every round circled paint sample they had. And I have a few of them. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do some experimenting with this. But I also thought, you know what, I just want even because the circle one makes me happy. Circles are always good. But I thought, you could do that with your other, paint samples, because you have squares. You have I have small squares. I have all different kinds of shapes. And so I was like, oh man, you could really have some fun with this. And I have a lot of paint samples. I love the paint department, and I spend a lot of time there picking out colors that I put in my binder for color inspiration. But some I have, my color choices have changed, and so now I can use some of these, or maybe something like what we're going to do today. So, okay, so I have all these circle ones out, and what I did was, and what's really cool about these brochures is each colorway has a name. This is Dare. I love that. And then it also says up here, choose your own color adventure, but you could say choose your own adventure. I'm going to use that in today's project. But I went through all of the samples, and I chose my least favorite ones to experiment with. Now, of course, I can go back. These were free, and I did my due diligence by buying paint. I feel guilty sometimes for collecting all the paint samples, but I guess that's what they're in the business for. And I do support Bear heavily for all of their paint samples. And these are Dutch Boy too. The other thing I liked about these was I take them out of the brochure, but they are perforated. So I can tear just one off and use it, or this is a piece of paper with the color attached. So I could use it just like that. How happy is that? That just makes me happy. But this is Dutch Boy too, and it again is perforated. So you could end up laying in color in many different ways. And then I got some of the bigger samples, and I regret not getting, they had these oval ones, but I can go back. So here is what I did with the circle samples. So I tore, a section out, and I started with Liquitex Fluid Matte Medium because the paint chips were paper, they lift up. So I needed to kind of make sure that they were down. So I started with some Fluid Matte Medium to put those down. And I then realized that wasn't strong enough because it's pretty thick. And I switched to my matte gel, put those down, and then I came back over this one with unbleached titanium, just to kind of get rid of the color. I didn't want to see the color there. I wanted just the outline. And then once I got, I was getting all of those layers dry. And then once I got that dry, I came back with a wash of, and in the unbleached titanium, I did put a little bit of gesso in there just to give it some variety. And I did make my brush strokes really, really messy because that's really great texture. So then I came back after I did that and I put a wash of umber over it. And I did some full strength and some lighter strength and wiped it off and really kind of got it super grungy. I did a couple of layers to get the grunge layer that I wanted. But this is the result. And how yummy is that? I could put color on there. I could do all kinds of things. So then I thought, what if, because this sample here had some they were more pastels, but they were pretty. And I thought, what could I do? So I put my matte gel down the same way and then left it and dried it. And I did messy brush strokes. Then I came back with just some raw umber and did a rub of raw umber. The only thing that kind of bothers me a little bit is you can kind of see some of the lettering. So I've made some heavier marks on the outer edges where the Dutch Boy logo is and that kind of thing. But you could just take the color off and put it on your page. So I am unsure of exactly how I want to use these. Like, will I put them down like this? Because it would create a really great border at the top. Will I separate them and create pattern randomly? Like that? How would I do it? And so I want to just play a little bit and just kind of work things, like just see what happens. I have no idea what, and I also want to create some other pattern in the background. Like, it's so grungy good. So I'm going to experiment a little bit, and maybe I'll do both. Maybe I will use the squares with the circles and then just the circle. Mostly, I believe, I'm thinking right now, for texture. I want this page to be somewhat grungy. Oops. That one did not come off as easily. But the one thing I do want to say is if I decide to use these like this, or even these ones here, or a full one, I will want to wet the back of this because it's really thick. This one's not quite as thick, so I may not have to do that, but I'm sure I'll probably use matte gel to put them down. Where are my stencils? So my stencils that I plan to use, it could change, you never know. This one is Mediterranean Duo, and I'm thinking this one, but I'm not exactly sure. And I think I probably will use my Utrecht gesso just to give it a little bit of texture. There's going to be a lot of texture on here. And then some flowers. Maybe not texture with this, but maybe texture with the flowers. I'm not sure. This is vintage wallpaper too. I got a brand new one because mine was so gunked up, kind of like this one. But vintage, I think you can see that. That's not a good example. That one. Yeah. So I think I'm going to use that. This is going to be real random, just fun play. And we will see where it goes. Mostly neutrals, with the exception of, because I want that kind of grungy feel. And so with the exception of probably some magenta and burnt sienna with a little bit of hint of olive green. Where's my, burnt sienna. There it is. It's hiding back in the back here. So burnt sienna and magenta with a little bit of olive green or green gold. Probably probably green gold. These are good complementary colors together. Maybe olive green. I'm not sure. And then probably some soft pastels. I don't know exactly how I'm going to use these just yet, but I will get my adventure going. And I am going to use, so see, like these two that I tore up is Reflect and Renew, but I want to use, what did I do with this? I want to use Choose Your Own Adventure. I'll take the color adventure out, the color part out, and just use that in my journal page. So I want to use that, and that is really all I know. So it's one big giant experiment. And that's one of the things that I want to express to you, that I'm going through Mary Oliver's poetry books. I got a whole set of them, and she's got some daily prompts. And I'm going to be creating from them too, with you for Sunday inspiration. But she just has this unbelievable quest for life. She loves her examples of nature are, I mean, I could read her poetry over and over and over. It like soothes my soul. And yet she is so inquisitive and takes time to capture all the things that are going on around her and look at and take some time to go on an adventure. And that's what this year, so my first journal page was, and my word for the year is release. And I want to, for me, and I hope that I can inspire you to do the same thing, is to release any expectations when we create and make it one giant adventure. Because it's always in the play that we discover our voice, we discover our story, we discover where we are and the things that we need to hear and say. It's always when we let go and just create for the sake of creating. Don't try to create anything perfect. Create for the love of it. And that's what Mary Oliver, in all of her works, she writes for the love of it. Yes, she makes money off of it, but she writes because she's truly in wonder of the things that she sees. And I'm truly in the wonder of what I can create and how I can put it together. And it's like this, I feel like a chemist sometimes, where I'm like, what if I did this? And what if I did that? And what if I tried this? And what if I used silly color swatches to make texture? Play and discover your childlike adventure again. Here. Do it here. There's no pressure. No one's going to see it. No one cares. It's just you here playing and letting go and exploring. And in that exploration, in that adventure, you find out something about yourself or about your work or about your journey. So please, please play today. Please play and just enjoy this space. And ask yourself, what if, over and over. What if I did this? What if I did that? What does this look like? And it doesn't matter if you do it and you're like, I don't like it. You can cover it over. You can, whatever it is. But you've learned something in the process. And you were brave enough to try. Be brave enough to start and be brave enough to try. And go on your own adventure. All right, my loves, I hope your Sunday is restful and peaceful, and I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.